Hi, we just finished meeting for intonation practice on Wednesday, July 26th, and we started with sovereign countries. Sovereign countries. Give you exact answers and examples. Exact answers, this T will change to a D. Answers and examples. You can say and examples, or you can drop the D and connect the end and examples. And that's what I did here. Give you exact answers and examples. Give you exact answers and examples. Break barriers. The K here, you won't hear it because you hold your tongue in the K position. Break barriers. Subscribe to Adastra speech. And I didn't put this here, but thank you to who did. Subscribe to Adastra speech. I live in Vancouver, Canada. I live in will connect, and what you would do in writing with a little comma to separate the city and the country, you should do with a tiny little pause to help people also make that separation. I live in Vancouver, Canada. Vancouver, Canada. In accordance with. Inna will connect, and accordance, you can say accordance and make it a syllabic nts, or you can keep the D and say accordance, either way. So the first one is in accordance with, and the second one here is in accordance with. Move this up. It's a survival instinct. Survival in will connect, and instinct is kind of weird because you are saying sting with an ng back here and then holding the airflow. You can put your tongue in the T position or just put all of your tongue against the top of your mouth to stop the airflow because you won't say instinct. Don't release the T. It's a survival instinct. Slow wan will connect, and instead of saying a perfect and, just make it an un. So now it's slowin'. Slow and steady. Public broadcasting companies. Public ends with a K, so hold the K without releasing the sound. Broadcasting companies. Public broadcasting companies. Acts of service. Acts of will connect. Sov, and you don't really have to make a good V, acts of service, because the next sound is voiceless with the S, so it could just disappear and sound like an F, acts of service. And then we did talk about acts, because you don't have to say acts with a T at all. You can skip the T and it will sound the same as acts. Look, acts, if they were actually spelled the way that they sound, which is different than ask, which is a SK. So this happens when the letter X is in the middle or at the end position of a word. It will sound like a K and an S, like box sounds like box, or exit. If it's at the beginning of the word, it will sound like a Z, like xenophobic. So let me go back and read all these without talking. Sovereign countries. Give you exact answers and examples. Break barriers. Subscribe to Adastra speech. I live in Vancouver, Canada. In accordance with, or in accordance with. It's a survival instinct. Slow and steady. Public broadcasting companies. Acts of service. And we also had, because of accordance, it does sound similar to curtains, but the vowel in curtains is the ER combination as in her. Curtains. You don't have to say the T, just make the N, curtains. Accordance. I put it over here. Accordance. And usually the rule is if two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking and he says his name, and his name is O in this case. O, so you would only hear the O. Bored. You hear the R too. But in this word, broad, it doesn't follow the rules. So it doesn't sound like O at all. It sounds like ah as in hot. So the rules don't work 100% of the time. And this is a good example of you just have to learn that that combination OA doesn't sound like O, it'll sound like ah. Axe, axe, ask. And then the difference between of, when OF has one F, it sounds like a U and a V. I put the UH because I use UH to represent the sound of. But when there's two F's after the O, now it sounds like off. And that one is actually following the rules, because if the O is followed by a consonant, one or more, it will sound like the short vowel sound. The short vowel sound of O is ah, like in the word hot. The T tells you that the O should sound like ah. Of is considered just a weirdo and it's called a sight word. You just have to learn it looks like this, but it sounds like this. And then we had the difference between as with one S sounds like a Z, and ass with two S's sounds like an S. And then the question, how do you know when the final S will sound like an S, a Z, or an is or uz? Um, if the last sound in the word is voiceless, cat is voiceless, there's no vibration in the throat. So the S really sounds like an S. So your voice is off, leave it off. Cats. Dog. G is the last sound, and G is voiced. You should feel vibration in your throat. So then it looks like an S, but it sounds like a Z. So if your voice is on, leave it on. Dogs. If it ends with a sh, j, ch, j, s, z, all of those are made very close to the same position as the S. So you have to move your tongue down and put it back up, and it will sound like an uz. Or I put is here because it doesn't matter if you say dishes or dishes, but that's what you have. Dishes. If you didn't have it, it would sound like dish, garages. And so we don't do that. Dishes, garages, churches. Move over a little bit. Judges, dresses, buses. And that's why an S at the end can sound like an S, a Z, or an is. I think that's it. So thank you. It was so fun to see everyone, and I won't see anyone for a week. I'll be moving, and then I will pick back up with the meetup groups the week of August 7th. So thanks, and have a good week, and I'll see you soon.